It's that time. The Double A Fantasy Football Podcast is here. We're excited about this show this time, following up that spicy mock that we had. We have the NFC East, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, followed by the Commanders. We got a preview for that, all the fantasy football relevant players there. And then we also have some news here. That's about all, I don't think there's much more in there. It's just AJ and I today. No Bob Rooney, no Kevin this time. Appreciate you jumping on here for that. Going to give a little shout out to my bowling squad. We made the roll off last year. I gave a shout out to Seno last podcast, and they were upset I didn't give them one this time. There's no reason for the pod or for the shout out other than people are asking for it, except they do listen. So thank you guys for that. If you want a shout out, hit us up on TikTok or Twitter. Following this long-winded intro here is going to be AJ, but on Twitter, the tweeter, I am at FrostedBlakes44. AJ is AJ20, spell out 20, followed by a K. AJ20K. TikTok and the YouTube channel is Double A Fantasy Football. Whew. All right, AJ, how are you doing today?
If I could add, if I may.
Go ahead,
the TikTok,
please.
I promise you guys, we direct you that way because we can tell you more things and give you more advice and more interesting little short, tiny clips instead of just the podcast a couple times a week. We're not out there doing dances, but if you want it,
we can do it.
Otherwise, I'm good. I'm good. Ready to go.
Good to hear. Love it. I think all of my leagues are now determined for my draft spots. 2 leagues, I'm 8th place. Got an auction league, 1st overall, and then what's the other league?
8th in mine.
8th in yours and Kevin's, 1st in my 14-man, then the auction. And then Brad's, I'm 4th. So we'll see how that goes. It's funny. So in that one, he let us pick, he drew the name. You got to pick what spot you wanted in the order of your name. The guy who was drawn in front of me decided that he wanted to go last. He said, let everybody else pick their spots and I'll just take in the final spot, which I thought was pretty funny.
Wow.
So, I know.
What a gentleman.
What a guy. He's new to the league, too, so maybe he's just trying to warm up to us.
Wow. Well, he's never going to get booted now.
Yeah, good call. So with the news, we got some things to follow. Again, we're going to give you the heads up on the training camp. The big thing with that is don't put too much hype into it, but definitely follow it to see what's going on. Right now, Kadarius Toney is back at practice. He's a big sleeper. I don't know if he's a sleeper, really, but he is a big guy to target this year, second-year wideout for the Giants. I mean, I'm trying to get him on my teams wherever I can.
Yeah, and obviously it's a good time for him to be in the news because we'll talk about him in a little bit here. But we saw some flashes of his talent last year, so definitely somebody to monitor at the very least.
Yes. Adam Thielen looking like his old self, apparently, based on his training camp hype. Again, don't buy into that too much, but still, I think he's a good sleeper there. A lot of people are staying away from him because of his age, but he's still a red zone target by all means. And as AJ informed me before the show started, Dameon Pierce has caught Lovie Smith's eye. I think he's catching all of our eyes now.
Yeah.
We don't see much. I mean, Marlon Mack, great job working really hard to get into where he is. But
how do you feel saying what you're saying about this man now?
I'm okay because Dameon Pierce is unproven. It's not like there's some iffy running back in front of him.
For those who may be listening for the very first time, we are getting, thank you for subscribing on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, or to the podcast in general. But if you're a new listener, Alan has been the Marlon Mack backer of the podcast. And, hey, he had a couple of years where he was running for 1,000 yards. And so it's got to hurt you a little bit to believe in the guy behind him right now.
Let's be a little bit more specific. I'm an underdog, undrafted.
That's true.
Type of guy.
Philip Lindsay is also.
Philip Lindsay.
He loves Philip Lindsay for life.
Yep. Following that is Isaiah Likely is a tight end for the Ravens with Rashad Bateman, which is also a piece of news, not practicing still. There's a good chance that Isaiah Likely sees some of those red zone targets, is really a guy they rely on, especially the way Lamar loves his tight ends.
Well, in the preseason game, he looked like he was getting so much hype from training camp. Guys were talking about him every day, making these catches. And then in the preseason game, he caught a touchdown. And then in practice the last week, he's also just been lighting it up with crazy catches. So there's some smoke there with that fire. He is likely to make some catches.
Hey-o. Isaiah likely about to be Isaiah certainly.
Ooh,
Zach Wilson is on track. Zach Wilson is on track for week 1. He had a surgery. We'll see how that goes. I'll see it when I believe it when it comes to surgery and injuries. The Browns.
Can I ask you if he's out, let's just say, I mean, not just week 1, but let's say something comes out, he's out like 4 weeks. Okay. Are you a little more afraid of Elijah Moore? Or are you okay with because Flacco will launch the ball he doesn't care.
Elijah Moore did it all last year with all of the random people he had.
Mike White.
Yeah, Mike White and Flacco. I think those are the main 2 guys they have behind him, and they both performed about the same. Wilson has upside because we don't know as much with him and what.
Can't forget about Josh Johnson.
Yeah, JJ. So I'm not worried about that. What I think it kind of does is upticks the running backs because we saw all of them get way more receptions when those other backup quarterbacks were there last year.
Sure. Breece Hall incoming.
Brown's starting center and the backup are both out this year. In quotations, I have AJ says to avoid Chubb at all costs.
Especially if you're my leagues.
Yeah. No, Chubb will still be fine. Chubb's Chubb.
Yeah.
But this is a big deal for the things going on with the Browns. You hate to see things added on top of it. So
there's a little bit of talk of them possibly reaching out to JC Treader again to come back for a year, which would be great because he literally knows the playbook front and back, and he's a good veteran.
What's the starting center's name?
Nick Harris.
There was a lot of hype for him. Wasn't he hurt last year for some of it?
No, they had Treader last year. And
gotcha.
When he got hurt, Harris came in and played great. So they were like, okay, we'll let him go, and you're the guy. So
yeah, we
tough break.
We made a TikTok about this too, but Kyler Murray controlled the 4th quarter of their preseason game, and he kind of stunk. The reason this took place is because he was argumentative with Kingsbury about the play calling he had going on, and eventually Kingsbury was like, all right, you do it then. Whole 4th quarter, here you go. He had, I think, 3 drives. 2 of them were 3-and-outs, and then the 3rd drive was Neal's because it was the end of the game.
I'm pretty sure he got -3 yards on 1 drive coaching.
I think it was 3 passes. I'm not sure. 3 passes and 2 rushes. But that wouldn't make sense for 6 downs.
Yeah. The details aren't that important. Let's just say it went bad for Kyler. So maybe he'll have a little more respect for his craft in terms of studying now that he's experienced that a little bit.
I hope so. Sure do. Let's jump into this preview. We're going to do an episode where we talk about real life football, the rankings, and how we see those guys, but we're still on the fantasy side of things, relevant players, how we think they're going to perform during the year. So we're going to start off with the Cowboys. Apparently it's America's team from the 70s. Don't think they are anymore.
The 70s, 80s,
whenever.
90s.
Yeah, whenever. So quarterback position, Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking about him? Last year he finished as a 7 overall quarterback, 7th. Played all 16 games.
Yeah, so I like Dak. If you're in a league that is in the quarterback weight, you have a smart league that waits on quarterback, I think you could target him. He's a little pricey for me. There's guys behind him that I like, guys even around him that I like. I mean, like Jalen Hurts is going right around where he's going. And then you have Trey Lance after. The thing with Dak is he is a pocket passer, no threat to run at all. So there's really no upside in Dak over. I mean, even Tom Brady's going after Dak. Like I would rather
Tom Brady.
I would rather try to get a couple positions between the 5th and 8th round and then get Brady than take Dak. It's going to be appealing if you have CeeDee Lamb early though, and you see that, and especially for somebody like you who loves to stack, it's going to be like, man, Dak and CeeDee would be really nice.
But yeah, you have Brady, Russell Wilson, Rodgers, Stafford, Trey Lance all going behind Prescott.
And even if you're going to wait big time, Cousins, Carr, if you're flirting with like Tua or Lawrence or Justin Fields, if you think they have like the upside that you could wait and take them, it's just a little early. But last year, 28.7 points per game. In the first 3 games of the year. He came out on fire. Amari Cooper got banged up and it slowed down a little bit. Or actually, that was the last 3 games. The first 8 games, he averaged 20 2.5 points per game. So half the season he was averaging almost 23 points a game, which is worth it where he's going. But there is a little bit of doubt, right? He lost Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson, Michael Gallup is coming off the ACL. So like his biggest targets, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, and then a rookie in Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah.
So
that's what I want to say is like a lack of targets, but we don't know. We haven't really seen a full Dalton Schultz like as a primary. He did well last year, but as a really primary weapon.
Yeah.
With him and CeeDee Lamb, beyond that, it's Jalen Tolbert. It is unproven.
Yeah.
And then they have Gallup that can come back halfway through the year.
Well, he might be ready before that, but to actually be full strength off an ACL that soon. Dak's great. We know what he can do, but for his price tag, I would rather wait for someone else most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. What are you thinking about Zeke? A lot of people are so against him. He finished as running back 6 last year. He doesn't usually – I don't think he's finished outside of the 12th running back spot.
He has never finished outside of top 12. So he's been an RB1 every year of his career so far. He's going as RB15, 28th overall, which is the beginning of the 3rd round in 12-team leagues. I don't know how you can doubt him until you see it fail. You know what I mean? Like he has not finished outside the top 12, and usually he's more towards the middle or the top of the 12.
Us talking about them having weaker weapons in the receiving game is just going to help Zeke because he's going to have to receive it more. Now Pollard's there, so I can see like that, you know, him being used in more for the receiving game as far as the running back goes, but Zeke can still do it.
Yeah, the devil's advocate play would be saying Pollard will take away almost all of the receiving game from Zeke, but I don't think so. Zeke's really good at pass blocking, so he's going to be in there on 3rd downs. Averaged almost 15 points per game last season on less carries than usual. I think he was around 230 when he's usually around like 300. If he gets that again, they have the 6th easiest schedule. The uncertainty at receiver, he's going to be a goal line power back as usual. Yeah. I trust Zeke, especially if it's a 3rd round pick. If he's my RB2, if you go running back, receiver, like you have first pick in a draft and you go JT or CMC, and then the 2nd pick, let's just say it's Mike Evans or AJ Brown or whatever, you know, whoever your wide receiver 1 is at that point, and then Zeke's your RB2 on that turn. I mean, you have a really solid base there.
Fournette or Zeke. That's what I've been seeing a lot when I draft first. Is those two guys.
I'd take Fournette. I
kind of like the offense a little bit more than I do.
I like the offense. I think I'd like the offense is the same, but I just like Fournette has like almost no competition at all, even to take carries away. I know Rachaad White is there to take some passing game away, but again, he's a rookie. Tom Brady needs to give your seal of approval for rookies, so it is what it is there. Pollard's going running back 30, 82nd overall. He averaged 11 points per game last season. If you're taking
he had
him,
true flex potential last year.
And I don't see that changing at all, especially if we think he may chip in more in the receiving game, and he's still going to get carries. I think he's a solid pick where he's going, but I think that's where he belongs.
So, is CeeDee Lamb going too high?
No, not at all. Okay. I am on CeeDee hype train like crazy.
Do you think has he fully proven last year to be what we think he'll be this year? Has he proven it? Not will he, just has he proven it?
Well, we aren't just pretty faces here on the AA Fantasy Podcast. We do research. And when CeeDee Lamb got 6+ targets, all he needs is 6 targets. He averaged 19 points per game. I mean, that's wide receiver 1 material. Top 5 anyway. There's no Amari Cooper. There's no Cedric Wilson. Yep. Gallup is going to start slow. It's him. He is going to see 8 to 10 targets a game. And with 6, he averaged 19 points per game. Over the whole season, he averaged 14.6 points per game as the wide receiver 2. I think he finished wide receiver 18.
Yep.
This is one of the guys, him and Stephon Diggs, to me, are 2 guys going outside of like those top 3-4 guys that have wide receiver 1 overall potential this year to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think last year he fully proved it for a season long, though.
Right.
Now, the games, like you said, when he was there, he did have great games. Like, there was
6 targets. If you think about the guys if you think about the Cooper Kupp, Cooper Kupp's just like an outlier. He had 193 targets last year. It's just absurd. But if this guy gets 150 targets this year,
They
he's
lost
gonna light it up.
181
Yeah.
targets.
Right.
181 targets out the window. Gallup slow start, like
Yeah.
you said, Amari Cooper. He had a 20% target share last year. I think this year that's going to be around 24.
Yeah.
I agree. I have no problem with him, especially where he's going. He's fine to be there. It's just you think of like the top tier. He's not in the top tier. Can he be after this year? For sure.
Well,
But
that's
like,
usually
to me, Diggs is that like it's
Sure.
like Diggs and then CeeDee right below.
right. And I have Diggs 2 spots higher in my rankings than CeeDee, but you'll be ahead of the curve this year. This is how you win your leagues, by seeing this beforehand. I think last year we had the expectations that maybe we now have this year, and he didn't meet those last year. Like, we were expecting 18 points a game instead of 14. But if he doesn't get it done this year, he's not an alpha, and he, just watching him on the field, he is. So,
And if you're not an alpha, you're a beta.
yeah. So you can just go sit on the bench.
I think Gallup is worth talking about for the sense of saying that I don't think anybody's going to draft him unless things come out that he's doing like he's on track to start the season. If you don't hear that, he's going to be on the waiver wires, and I definitely would pick him up, put him in your IR spot immediately, or even draft him, put him in your IR spot, and then pick up somebody else off the waivers, because he'll be relevant. But I do think Justin Tolbert has a place on this team. The way that this offense moves, as quickly as they get down. Jalen, sorry.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Justin.
Yeah.
Mike Tolbert.
Mike Tolbert, goal line back.
Goal line wide receiver. I'm looking for Gallup. I thought he was actually being drafted, but now that maybe there he is. Okay. He's going 144 overall. So that's some people doing the late round flyer, which is what I would suggest too. Because if he comes out and maybe it only takes him 3 weeks, he gets going, he's the wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys, and we've seen him actually produce really well before. But you don't lose anything if it takes him 8 weeks to get going. You know what I mean? Like, you could drop him if he doesn't get to play early. But Jalen Tolbert.
He's going around 146 from what I'm seeing.
Tolbert?
Yeah.
So right around Gallup. So basically second to last or last round flyers, which 100% Jalen Tolbert should go off the board for every draft. He should not be undrafted. He is looking to be the healthy wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys. At South Alabama, he was the nation's leader in targets with 99, catches with 38, and receiving yards 1,402 on targets of 20-plus air yards. So in layman's terms, that means he goes deep and he is open and he goes. Yep.
And Dak can do that. Dak has no problem getting it down the field.
Absolutely. So he has to be taken as a late round flyer. He could end up being a really solid guy.
I think Schultz, the Dalton Schultz tight end for the Cowboys, is one of my favorite picks this year.
He's
not
properly placed.
Yeah, he's not like quiet where he's going. He's not a sneaky pick, but he's just 5th round, 5th, 6th round, like perfect right there. So of the 181 targets that are vacant, 44% of them were within the 10-yard line. Who else is going to get those except for possibly Zeke, but really your tight end?
Or CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Schultz and CeeDee are the 2 guaranteed. You know what you're getting from those guys. So I love Schultz. He's going as tight end 6. He finished as tight end 3 last year. Over the last 4 games, he averaged 17.9 points per game. So in the playoffs when you were playing last year, Dalton Schultz was helping you win your league. So I don't expect much different from him. He's going to have a great year.
Well,
to the Eagles.
Should we move on to the Eagles?
The Eagles,
Sorry,
yes.
Eagles.
The Eagles. Yeah, let's talk about Jalen Hurts, probably the number 1 guy on this team in terms of fantasy relevance. You go first, and then I can just
I want him. I want him everywhere. I think he's in that. Like, to me, it's kind of like Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray. Who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Lamar, and then Trey Lance. The order would be Jalen Hurts, Lamar, Kyler Murray, Trey Lance. How I want them.
You have Hurts over Lamar?
Yes, but only because of his weapons.
Okay.
Like, I think you need to pass. You need to catch the I mean, you need to be able to throw touchdowns to be able to produce.
You need to catch it. You do need to catch it. It's a fact.
He doesn't need to catch it, but no, he has two awesome wide receivers that can catch it. He has Dallas Goddard, who's going to be a stud. His running backs are, I mean, they know how to run the ball. We're going to talk about the running backs.
Pretty good catching the ball. Kenneth Gainwell.
Yes.
Out of the backfield. I'm going to just piggyback on what you said. I think Hurts has the QB1 potential. Like, this is the guy outside of the top 5 because he's going as QB7 right now. That I think this is the only guy, maybe Lamar, that can challenge Josh Allen for QB1. I don't think Mahomes is going to do it. I think their offense slows down a little bit. I mean, the improved weapons. A.J. Brown is a beast. I mean, he is a beast. You don't have to do much to get him in the field and just getting yards and touchdowns. Last year, over the first 7 games, some of Hurts' numbers from last year are absurd. So, over the first 7 games last year, he averaged 25 points per game. 25 at quarterback. And for the whole year, he only had 16 passing touchdowns. 16!
It's all about those legs.
But, like you said, he has 10 rushing touchdowns last year. I don't see that dipping down, and I think the passing touchdowns are going to go up. I don't think they're going to have the most rushing attempts in the league this year. I think they're going to open it up a little bit more. You have A.J. Brown. You have to. So I'm with you. I think I want all of Jalen Hurts, especially where he's going.
Yeah.
It could be a little ugly watching it happen, but that doesn't matter.
It was last year.
It doesn't matter, though, in fantasy. Like, it just... He's going to get the points for you, and that's the most important thing that we're talking about here. On to Miles Sanders. What are your thoughts? He says don't draft him.
I know.
I almost feel like that's like reverse psychology, like he's going to tear it up.
And then we're hearing good stuff about Kenneth Gainwell during camp.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
Kenneth Gainwell's like... I mean, I guess Darren Sproles was like tiny guy, but like, come on. Kenneth Gainwell, sure, he's going to catch some passes, but like, is that your goal line back at 175 pounds? I don't think so. The thing with Miles Sanders is when he gets the ball, he goes far, 5.5 yards per carry. He had 0 touchdowns last year. It almost feels like it is impossible he does not do better this year. But is that better enough to make you draft him?
I don't know. I think he's kind of going in that running back dead zone that I don't really target. Like during that zone, I'm kind of trying to hit other pieces of my team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You said it earlier on one of the shows that he's definitely one of the guys everybody could be overlooking to be a solid RB2 on somebody's team.
Seriously. But at the same time, I don't really want any part of him. That's like one of those guys that you draft and you're like, you don't like it at all after you draft him. You're just like, I guess I need a running back. To me, I feel like if you go zero running back the first 3 rounds, Miles Sanders ends up being your RB2. And that's not the worst thing. Like, I think he can produce, but you gotta hit later on in the draft.
Guys going around him.
Yeah, I was just going to do that.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Miles Sanders?
Clyde.
Yep.
I just like him in the passing game, but I know,
Damian Harris or Miles Sanders?
Sanders.
I think that's tough because of where Harris is going. Stevenson's really making a case for himself.
I fully believe in Ramondre, so I don't want any piece of Damian Harris this year.
Rashad Penny or Miles Sanders?
Penny's going a lot later than him, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going 8 picks later.
Oh, Penny's climbing. He was going in like the 80s before.
I have him at 82. Miles Sanders at 74.
Okay. I would wait for Penny because maybe he would drop.
What about Chase Edmonds or Miles Sanders? I would take Chase Edmonds over Miles Sanders. 100%. And he's also going 10, 11 picks later.
I mean, in PPR especially, I would much rather have Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're both kind of out on Sanders. But
if you draft Sanders, are you playing him week 1?
You have to if you drafted him, because the only
Yeah.
reason you drafted him is because you needed a running back and you
You're
panicked.
stuck.
I would
Right.
rather just wait. I would rather wait and get like Kareem Hunt or Ramondre. I just don't want a piece of him, and that doesn't mean he won't do better. I've seen enough of Miles Sanders. I'm done with him.
I think the one stat was that he wasn't even the lead back for touches within the 10-yard line.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
I just don't. I can't.
From the 5,
can't take the chance.
I saw this today. From the 5-yard line, he had 5 carries and got -5 yards total.
Ugh.
I said this about Leonard Fournette a couple of years ago. Maybe Miles Sanders turns it around, but I just don't see it. I think Kenneth Gainwell has a safe-ish floor if you draft him late, like a low-end flex for PPR leagues, until you see it change. Until you actually visually see more, carries and passing volume. But
you don't own any pets, do you?
I do not.
I didn't think
Just
so.
children.
I have 3 dogs for everybody listening and 2 cats, and it's driving me insane because my cats walk around my mic and there's hair on it. It's so unprofessional.
I do have a podcast listener that, when I tell them we recorded an episode, or, if I just talk about like an episode happened, they're like, "Hey, did the cat make it in the episode?"
Yes.
So it's a thing now. So
yeah,
let's talk about AJ Brown. We already mentioned him.
Yeah,
he's going wide receiver 11, 26th overall. So right on the turn, like we talked about, first and second and third overall pick. People, listen up, because this guy is going to be there when you draft. You go first. Let me know tell us about AJ Brown.
So I don't know. I have no problem when people when you draft him, but you're drafting him with somewhat of a question mark. Just if Jalen Hurts can keep up with him. People going around him, Keenan Allen, you're going to get the receptions. Mm-hmm. Mike Evans, who's always performed for us no matter what, and CeeDee Lamb. Those are the big 3 names going around him. Then Michael Pittman is also there. If you want to take a chance, you kind of have a little bit more security in Pittman because Ryan's going to throw it, and Pittman's already made his mark last year. A.J. Dillon was banged up a lot. That's kind of where I'm worried about him. He finishes the wide receiver
Brown,
30.
Right?
A.J. Brown, sorry. Not Dillon. God, I'm all over the place.
It's okay.
These cat hairs are just killing me.
They're going up to his brain.
No, I appreciate the catch.
Yeah.
So he did have 27% target share last year.
That's crazy. If he could have that this year.
He finishes wide receiver 32.
Yeah.
Now, Devonta Smith had 22% target share. That's as the wide receiver 1. So I kind of feel like both of them will get to the point where they're both around that 18 to 20% target share each. I think that's healthy for AJ Brown to do enough with to be in the top 24. So, for sure, top 24.
So, yeah. Oh, you mean overall, not receivers, right?
I mean,
he's
receivers.
Like a top 15. He should be a top 15 receiver. Probably.
Right. He was in the 32. My biggest thing is Devonta Smith is good. I think they're both going to command targets, and then they have Dallas Goddard.
Yeah.
AJ Brown should, by any coach's eyeball test, us watching him, he should command the number 1 target share.
Yep. To play a little devil's advocate, I do believe he'll have even a larger target share than that with Hurts. I think the game plan is going to go that way.
Then 27%.
No,
or then
you said around
Smith
18 to 20. I think.
Oh yes,
I think
yes.
he'll be
okay.
I think he's going to be the standard 24%.
Okay.
He's going to own it. That hurts Devonta Smith a little bit, obviously, unless they're going to air it out more, which I have faith that they are going to throw a little bit more than they did. They were 21st in pass attempts last year. If that bumps up to even 15th, that's going to be able to support Brown as a lead dog and Devonta Smith as a wide receiver flex, which I think
they did well running the ball, though.
Sure,
that's
they
when
did.
They won.
Sure, they did, but you have a new team now. AJ Brown changes your team. Last year, it was Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, whoever else was there. It doesn't matter. There's actually some other guys going around, at least what I'm on. So let me give you some this or that, because A.J. Brown's a seriously interesting person. I mean, we have seen him dominate, but also, like you said, this is a very uncertain situation because they didn't throw a lot last year, obviously. A.J. Brown or T. Higgins? I know you're a
A.J.
big
Brown.
Yeah, okay. What's the reasoning on that? Because I think I know why.
He's the one.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's
All
it.
right. That doesn't always work, though.
It doesn't. And T. Higgins could definitely be the one this year
Yeah.
instead of Jamar Chase for certain reasons.
Okay. A.J. Brown or Michael Pittman? It's tough.
I love Michael Pittman.
Same. I'll give you a different one if you don't want to answer.
I'd probably go Pittman if I had to.
So Pittman's going 8 spots
picks.
later.
Yeah.
Roughly. On Sleeper, A.J. Brown's going 27th overall. Pittman's going 40. Okay, one more. A.J. Brown or Terry McLaurin?
A.J. Brown.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like Terry McLaurin too, but
Okay. Would you go let's say you had the first pick. You go Jonathan Taylor, and then let's say you go running back again. Let's say it's Javonte Williams. Okay. Would you rather go Mark Andrews or A.J. Brown?
it's gonna be so hard.
These are the things people are going to have to face, though.
I know.
You know?
I would probably go Mark Andrews.
I would too, because that wide receiver value later on is still good.
It's secure too.
Yeah,
it's there. Mark Andrews isn't going anywhere. He's the one. We don't even know if Bateman's really building that chemistry right now.
I have a great one, and then we can move on. A.J. Brown or Saquon Barkley? So easy for me.
I'm getting better with Saquon.
It's so easy for me, but I know,
If I would go Saquon. If I had that first overall, JT, Saquon.
Especially if you went JT for the safety. And let's say you got Saquon and you're worried about it. Maybe he gets hurt again. It doesn't hurt you as bad because you have JT, who could himself get hurt. There's no running back in the world that is safe from injury in the NFL. But okay, let's talk about Goddard and then we'll move on. Hey, the cat is here. Let's go.
He always jumps on my lap on all my wires and pulls everything.
He's like, dude, get your cable management in check, please. Dallas Goddard going as tight end 8. 77th overall, so between the 7th and 8th round, depending on your format. He averaged 11 points per game last year. That puts him in the top. I think he finished tight end 7. Are you willing to take Goddard where he's going?
Where is that right now?
77 overall.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you some.
When Ertz left, Goddard was the focal point.
Sure. Dallas Goddard. So this is where it's hard because you're gonna be like, oh, I need a tight end at this spot, but then there's really good talent around Dallas Goddard, which makes me hesitant on taking him. Dallas Goddard or Gabe Davis?
Dallas Goddard.
Why?
I think that I will have enough. I think tight ends really drop off kind of after Goddard. I think there's maybe one or two other guys after him.
Okay. Well, since you said that, let me go on a points per game basis just to show you kind of who finished where with points per game for that comparison's sake. TJ Hawkinson averaged 12 points per game in PPR last year. That was 6th in the league. Goddard had 11. So let's go down below Goddard. Dawson Knox, 10.9. Logan Thomas, 10.7. Zach Ertz, 10.6. Kyle Pitts, 10.4. Hunter Henry, 10.3. Noah Fant, 10. Higbee, 10. Gesicki, 10. Pat Freiermuth, 10. A lot of those guys are going way after Goddard, whereas you just said you'd pass on Gabe Davis, who could be an elite wide receiver 2 this year.
Could be.
I just feel like I would rather risk the upside of Gabe Davis compared to Goddard. That's why Goddard, Ertz, and like Hunter Henry area has me like, I don't know, like you're either taking the tight end and just living with it, or you're that's the weird thing about tight end. Makes me want to go early tight end sometimes, but
Yeah, and Hunter Henry has not been a bad tight end.
right, you're right.
Goddard saw less than 75 targets and still got over 700 receiving yards.
Yeah. So,
Like,
but the
efficient.
odds of that bumping up is not good with AJ Brown in town now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Giants. We're getting to the more cesspool region of this division. However, there are some hidden gems here, such as Daniel Jones. I know you're not a big fan. Would you? So you're in a 2-quarterback league with me, aka Super Flex league. Would you be comfortable having him as a QB2, or would he? Okay,
because of the rushing upside.
I agree with you.
And we saw that. I mean, did he start in one of the preseason games? Because I believe I saw him doing it. I think
he did. Took off. He had a drive, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought he ran on it again. Like, he's not scared to take off. And he does have that mentality of just running. Like, I need to get this first down, let me take off type of thing.
I completely agree with you. And I think with Dayball there, that he's going to let him air it out a little bit more. I know Jones makes mistakes, but I think Dayball's going to kind of game plan for that. Last year, through the first 4 weeks of the season in just regulation standard scoring leagues, he was QB6, averaging 24 points per game, and ended the season averaging 16. So that's like, at the very worst, that's stream worthy if you're streaming quarterbacks. Like, you waited too long, you didn't get one. So I'm with you on that. Now
I think the names around Jones too aren't anything worth shaking a stick at, except maybe Matt Ryan. Like, he's the only one ahead of him, but there's plenty around him to be like, yeah, I'll take the chance on Jones over Goff, over Mayfield, over Mills.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones is going behind. He's going behind a lot of people that I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, Matt Ryan, I can't get on board with at all. But
you would take Matt Ryan or after Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take Jameis Winston over Matt Ryan. There's a lot of...
Yeah, I probably would too.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't have much interest in Matt Ryan. I mean, in our 2-quarterback league, I'm sure he'll be drafted, but let's go to the real center of this offense.
Is that the league that I'm the champion of?
The current running champion, yes.
Love to hear it. That's all.
Should we compare trophy cases or no? All right.
I mean, mine looks clean.
It does look clean.
You have a lot of participation trophies.
Oh, I do? Yeah, I got 4 gold ones, by the way. I have no fear of Saquon Barkley this year. None. 0. I've watched him run myself with my own good eye. This one right here. The line is way better. Like, they made their line way better. Their game plan is solely run through him. Dayball has said that. Dayball's like a coach who he's not like a liar and he doesn't hide everything like most of them do. He's just like, yeah, Saquon is the guy we're running our offense through. He's healthy. 2 years removed from his worst injury.
He wasn't healthy, wasn't fully healthy after week 10.
I don't think anybody ever is after they tear an ACL, and it takes that time. I don't care if they come back and play. You just don't move the same way.
He was injured last year outside
the ankle.
The ACL.
Yeah, he had the ankle too. So, of course, the injury risk is there. But he looks healthy. Anything could happen. I mean, everybody hurts their ankles all the time. That's a thing that happens. It's just a very easy place to get hurt, I guess. He absolutely has RB1 overall potential.
Nope.
Absolutely.
Disagree with that.
Absolutely. How does he not?
Firmly disagree.
How does he not?
Their offense just is not good enough to be able to do that.
Their line is better.
Line, yes, but they're not. They're going to be in losing positions majority of the season, correct?
Maybe.
They're going to have to catch up. I think he has potential to finish top 12. I'm talking
absolutely
10 to 14.
will. He absolutely will finish top 12.
There's a lot of guys that can do it.
He's one of them. In 5 games last year, when Saquon Barkley played a full snap share with Daniel Jones, so when he was fully involved in the game plan, so 5 games with Daniel Jones, he averaged 16 points per game. That would have been RB10 last year. And that's going to happen pending health of both of them. I know Daniel Jones is concussion boy and Saquon has been hurt. But what I'm
He
saying
also averaged 3.7 yards per carry after week 10 bye, so week 11.
is
He had
with a much worse line. Yes.
one touchdown and finished inside the top 20 running backs once.
Right. With a much worse line and no Daniel Jones. It was Mike Glennon.
Yeah, Glennon does have a long neck.
Yes,
he can see
does.
over the defense.
Yes,
though,
he can.
So.
Yeah. So it's a totally different situation. You can't go off of the numbers last year.
His ADP is perfectly fine to get him. I have no problem with that. I would rather have Aaron Jones, who's going after him. I'd rather have Zeke, who's going after him, and Alvin Kamara, who's going a pick before him.
I think that fully depends on who you take with your first pick.
It does.
But I think Barkley should be a first rounder, just like I think Kamara should be a first rounder, and you're getting both of those guys in the second round at a discount, in my opinion.
So you think top 5?
Absolutely.
Like,
if he doesn't get hurt, which I know is like the worst asterisk to put next to a bet.
No, I mean I play by that, but okay.
Oh, well, you said top 10, so I guarantee top 10.
I'm gonna say 10 to 14, and you think top 5.
If you're taking 4 slots, let me have the top 10.
Well,
so he could
10
be
slots.
Yeah, sure. Because if it's better than 10, then it's not as risky for me. You're getting all the way down to 14. Okay, we're going full PPR with this prediction as well.
Okay.
All right, I'll say top 8 to be even more risky. Give me that. Actually, I have him ranked 9th, so I'm saying top 9. There you go. I'm just saying he has the RB1 potential. Absolutely. He's that good. And if the line...
I guess the main reason I would say for the case of why he doesn't is just because there's too many other running backs that should.
Yeah, but we thought that last year, too, and we had 3 guys in the top 5 that we'd never thought would be there, and Leonard Fournette, James Conner, and whoever else. Injuries, game plans change, things make it crazy. I just think nobody's going to have a workload like Saquon outside of Jonathan Taylor. So that, and CMC probably.
Who is the backup?
It's still Devontae Booker.
Matt Breida?
I think Breida is there.
Breida or Booker's not even on their depth chart for ESPN.
Okay, so
they have Breida, Gary Brightwell, and Antonio Williams.
That's all I need to hear in terms of believing in Saquon. I mean,
I don't believe in Breida either. So
well, yeah, I don't think anybody really does. Let's talk about the receiver position, which is absolutely another reason to support Saquon Barkley's role in this offense. Who do you want from this wide receiver core?
Kadarius Toney.
Does it end there?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Galladay is done.
Okay.
Like I think Galladay could be like a 40-yard, 3 receptions, 40 yards, and that's it.
Yeah. He'll break a 60-yard touchdown like one time this year if he's on the field. I think
Wan'Dale Robinson has some flyer potential.
That was going to be my other name.
Sterling Shepard's still there, but he's more of a PPR guy. But it looks like Wan'Dale's...
Sterling Shepard, man.
He got hurt. Well, I think Wan'Dale, which I also think is a hilarious name because growing up I couldn't say my R's, and there is a Rondale, and so I feel like I'm messing up saying Wan'Dale Robinson.
Wan'Dale Robinson. I'm with you. That's who I was going to mention as well, Wan'Dale Robinson. The camp and practice hype has been real with him, as well as Toney, but he's been kind of nursing an injury off and on, so he's missed practice, played, which is a thing, you know, with him. Like last year, he was hurt most of the year, played on that bad ankle. But he is the only one I think you can rely on just on a talent basis, like what you saw with your own eyes last year. When he caught the ball, it was electric afterwards. Like he was heavily targeted when he was on there. 27% of the time, if the play was built for him, he got the ball. Yeah. The depth chart still includes Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. Somehow those 3 are still surviving there. And then a camp standout's been Colin Johnson, who has like Tampa Bay fame, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he played somewhere else a little.
Yeah, so, nothing there, but maybe check, waiver wire week 1, I think. Outside of drafting Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't think anything. And I will give you, are you looking at their depth chart right now?
I was.
Is it up now? Tell the truth. What's up now?
It's not.
Tell me what's on your screen right now.
The Washington Commanders depth chart.
Perfect. I will give you $20 if you could name 2 tight ends on the Giants right now.
I can name one.
You can?
Yeah.
Who?
Isn't it Bellinger?
Yeah. How do you even know that name? That's absurd.
He's the starter.
Yeah, he is the starter. Okay, you got another one?
Is the other one somebody that's played before, or are they just...
They have 2
Correct.
guys that have played before, yes.
Oh.
But they're not even second and third listed, but I think they will be eventually.
I can't even guess.
Ricky Seals-Jones.
Ricky Seal. I knew there was one.
And Jordan Akins from the Houston Texans last year.
I have nothing
But
to
the
gamble on their tight ends.
The 2 guys, yeah, nothing at all. The 2 guys in Fred are Chris Myarick, Myarick. I know, I've seen the name, but I mean, and then Andre Miller, like spelled exactly like the Cavs point guard of past. The Giants are done for. I think Saquon Barkley is the guy there, obviously, that you should want. He's going in the 3rd round. It's a discount in my eyes. Let's go to the Commanders.
Let's do it.
The newly named chosen. Would you have liked a different name?
No, I like it. I do.
It sounds weird when you say it, I feel like.
It's a lot of syllables.
It sounds kind of like an arena.
Washington Commanders.
Yeah, it's like an arena league name. I feel like, you know, the Cleveland Gladiators against the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Carson Wentz, who you don't love at all.
For fantasy football.
Would you like to guess where he finished among quarterbacks last year, since you don't love him at all for fantasy football?
I won't guess because I know that he finished as quarterback 14.
He did finish as quarterback 14, and they have the 4th easiest quarterback schedule. I know a guy who won a fantasy league last year who started the quarterback from the Washington football team last year. And this quarterback is way better than that one. Way better.
More efficient.
Way better. He is efficient.
Way more accurate.
That is for sure. Carson Wentz, absolutely streamable, draftable as a QB2. I would not run with him as my starter by any means. He can put up big numbers in certain games, though. I think that's really all we have to say about Carson Wentz, although I think it would surprise a lot of people that he would be quarterback 14 last year.
Yeah, it definitely should.
Also, if he would have averaged 1 point more, he would have finished as QB 12. So there's that.
My worry comes out with Terry McLaurin because his relevance last year was because like Taylor Heineke just threw it up to him, like just literally threw it up in the area he was in. Carson Wentz is not that type of quarterback, but Terry McLaurin gets open. So
yes,
I don't know. I'm kind of just like wishy-washy, but I'm not like, I don't put Terry McLaurin down at all because of it. I just wonder if it's going to look any different this year.
Okay, so let me ask you, how overall, how do you think Terry McLaurin did last year? Just in general, like, would you have been okay if he was on your team, or
he was on one of my teams, and I was okay with it.
Okay,
I drafted him a little earlier than I think.
Well,
what he should have finished.
He should, yeah. I think we all thought he would finish. I mean, we had him near top 10. Like He was around 10 for us. Might have even been in the top 10. He finished wide receiver 25, 12.6 points per game in PPR, with Taylor Heineke at quarterback.
Right.
If he can do that, and he still gets wide open, which he does, he just got that fat contract. Carson Wentz is going to be able to hit him. Look what Carson Wentz did with Michael Pittman last year. It wasn't all just jump balls. Like you said, he's an efficient thrower. He really makes his decisions based on if he thinks there's a window. If he doesn't think there isn't one, he won't throw it in a lot of cases.
Michael Pittman was very relevant.
Yeah, I would say so. And Terry McLaurin, for all intents and purposes, I think he's a better receiver than Michael Pittman as far as real life route running, catching, getting open. I think he's a better wide receiver. He's not bigger, but I think he's better. Let's track back a little bit because we skipped over the running back position, which is probably something kind of in the back of your mind you might have done on purpose because this is a really weird backfield.
He's like a different version of the whole like idea of what people have of Zeke.
Who's he's? Like, Gibson?
Antonio Gibson.
So yes, Antonio Gibson. Let's give his track record and then we'll talk about him. last year in PPR finished as RB10.
Yup.
10th. That means he was an RB1 legitimately. He only had 258 carries, which is a good amount, but like the big dogs are around 300. He had 1,037 yards and 7 touchdowns, and then he had 42 receptions and 3 touchdowns in the air.
Why do you think he finished RB10?
Because he had 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to finish there until J.D. McKissic got hurt and was out.
Okay.
He had a huge uptick when J.D. McKissic was not on the field.
I wouldn't say he had a huge uptick because Gibson's second half of the year was much worse than his first half of the year. He had an uptick in the passing game.
Gibson's first half of the year was from week 10 on. He was the RB4. The second half.
I owned him.
His first half of the year from week 1 to 8, he was RB19.
Interesting.
So McKissic was the reason.
Well,
and
a reason.
training,
you can't call it
a
the
reason.
reason.
You're right,
You
a
act like
reason.
J.D. McKissic's like involved on every play. Like, come on.
He's the PPR guy coming from the
Okay.
Rivera Riverboat Ron offense
Okay.
that he had with CMC. I think McKissic is a lot. Like, I'm more enticed by McKissic than I am with Gibson. Not that I think McKissic's going to finish better. I just think that his flexibility where he's going is better than where I want to take Gibson. And I think Gibson is going to be in the doghouse.
Because of the fumbles?
He's now on special teams. Like, he's now starting to run practice with special teams.
That is the fear. Yeah.
You don't put your best running back on special teams.
Yeah. I mean, they fed this guy last year.
They did.
Like 20 carries a game, most games. It's a very strange situation.
If somebody came in with their team and their RB2 was Antonio Gibson, I would not, there's nothing for me to say. That's solid.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, let's play this game.
The worry is there more than the upside is there.
I agree with that. I think the uncertainty, but things like this always happen, and then it still plays out. Not even that. It still plays out fine.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
he's the version of Zeke. People are down on Zeke.
Yeah,
they think he's going to be bad, and he's not, and he hasn't been. There's no proof of him being bad. We just are trying to predict the future.
He's currently going RB19, round 41 to 49. It's very wide variety. I think that ADP is going to lower as we get over the next week or so, and then drafts are really going to start picking up. But there's always going to be people who reach for him because they're going to need a running back and they're going to grab him. Let's do some this or that, Antonio Gibson style, because I almost feel like going at his current ADP is wrong. So I'm going to go off a sleeper. Because
what do you have as that?
49. He's going 49th overall in sleeper.
Yeah, his Fantasy Pros has him 38, like you're saying. He's
right. I sorted it by the sleeper column.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at that. Josh Jacobs or Antonio Gibson?
Dude, I don't.
That is the worst one.
So ugly. I'll go Antonio Gibson. I'll give him credit there. I think Daniels wants to do every. I don't know.
I'll
try to spin it. I'll try to spin it. But.
So honestly, Lamar Jackson's going 2 picks before him. I would be like, I'll take Lamar Jackson as my RB2, and we're good. Okay, Antonio Gibson. I cannot believe in sleeper Courtland Sutton is going behind Antonio Gibson. Does that not feel like just blasphemy? And I would never. I can't even give you that as a this or that. That's just not even okay. Ooh, Antonio Gibson or J.K. Dobbins?
If I get some more positive things about J.K. Dobbins, I'm going J.K. Dobbins.
I would go Dobbins as well.
David Montgomery or Antonio Gibson?
I got to go Montgomery, even though the line is worse. I just feel like even though Herbert may be involved there, I can count on Montgomery, his workload. It's getting a little scary with Gibson. Okay, last one. I'll go even a little further down.
Elijah Mitchell or Antonio Gibson?
I knew you would say Eli Mitchell, so I'm not even going to do that one. I would pick.
But I'm
I would pick.
you.
I would pick Mitchell too.
What about
I'm trying to go further down. Like, I don't...
Devin Singletary or Antonio Gibson. And then I have
even
one
that
more.
one's hard. That one's hard. I would take
one.
Singletary because the offense is better.
It's different.
And he's the starter.
They don't have Dable there.
Even if it doesn't matter. He's the starter. If he gives me 13 carries a game that I'm pretty sure he will get, he may do better. God, Gibson's so weird.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I'm waiting on Clyde.
I would too.
The value's better.
72 for Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, that's absurd. There's guys going behind Gibson that I would rather not take him, and I would wait forever for running back compared to that.
Ooh, this might be tough. Miles Sanders or Antonio. That's not tough. Or Antonio Gibson. I'd go Gibson all day.
Yeah, I probably would too, and that's a weird one. And like AJ Dillon's going 67th on Sleeper, but Antonio Gibson's going 49th. Like, come on.
People don't want to take Dillon.
So in essence, what we're saying, I don't know why. That's absurd to me. What we're saying is pass on Gibson. Let your league mates grab him. McKissick. Let's just touch on him and we'll go. McKissick, RB37 in 11 games last year in PPR.
Yeah.
He had 43 catches over that amount of time. So he seems like a lock for 60 to 75 receptions, I would say. The PPR floor is obvious. You can get him super late. My thing is Brian Robinson. Where are you with that guy? 3rd round pick out of Alabama.
I have to see something. It's
Okay.
kind of how I feel with a lot of those guys. I got to see something happen before I'm like,
I think that guy is worth like your last round pick just to stash and see how it goes. A direct quote from Ron Rivera. I kind of see this as a 1A, 1B situation, just like McVay said. He says it could be something like the Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams situation that we had in Carolina.
He did that.
Yeah, but he also said he'd use CMC or Antonio Gibson like CMC last year, and really
then he realized he can't.
Well, once he did, he was RB4, like you said. So maybe he should be getting used. I don't know. Any other receivers that you like from this team?
So Curtis Samuel is somebody I think a lot of people have had some sort of inkling on last year, and then he got hurt. I don't think he's worth it. I think I'd rather take the chance on Jahan Dotson.
I wouldn't touch Curtis Samuel with a 70-foot pole.
Big pole.
Jahan Dotson is absolutely worth a late-round flyer. This guy's hands were made to catch a football. And if Wentz is looking for somebody open underneath, Jahan's going to be there. If he looks, and just like we talked about how he's not going to throw it if McLaurin's not open, his next look, there's my other receiver, Jahan Dotson. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 2. And, with Antonio Gibson in the doghouse, maybe they won't run it as much. Maybe they trust Wentz a little bit.
This is tough. I don't think it's tough. Jalen Tolbert or Jahan Dotson. Jalen Tolbert's going 146. Jahan's going 148.
Tolbert.
Yeah.
I just like Dak more. And he
the offense in general.
Downfield threat.
They don't really have the number. Like Curtis Samuel, I don't want him, but I think Rivera loves him and he wants to try to have him.
You know how I feel about Jahan Dotson? I feel like he's going to end up being like a Jamison Crowder.
Okay.
Like a PPR lord where he's getting just like 12 catches for 100 yards and gets you 22 fantasy points.
Another reason why I'd rather go to a different unproven rookie than I would to Dotson, though, is because I don't know if I've seen Wentz really supply enough targets to anyone other than the wide receiver 1.
I would have to go back and look. I feel like in Philly he could spread it around a little, but for sure he definitely liked his wide receiver 1. And you know who else he liked when he was in Philly? Both of his tight ends. So let's talk about Washington's tight end before we go, because it wouldn't be a podcast if AJ couldn't talk about Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas.
Can you?
My only hesitation on Logan Thomas at all is the age. Right now he's literally free in drafts.
Yep.
But his age doesn't really concern me that much because he actually started his career as a quarterback and hasn't even been playing tight end like the whole time he's been in the league.
The age isn't the thing that worries me. It's just his slow start. So if he starts the year on the IR. He's another guy to draft, throw in the IR spot, and pick something up. Yeah.
So here's my thing. I don't actually even know his injury status. Do you have that by chance?
Let
me see.
He's on the PUP right now.
Which doesn't really mean much. I mean, he could come off of that at any point. Okay, he had an ACL tear. What week did he do that? It was early, wasn't it? No, it was like week 13.
Yeah.
So let's say,
rough.
So week 13 is what, like October?
Yeah.
So not even a full year. Here's the thing with Logan Thomas. Wentz likes his tight ends, right? Logan Thomas has been on a per game basis in 5 games only. That's all we have to work off of last year. He averaged 10.7 points per game, which would make him tight end 8. In 2020, he averaged 11 points per game, which also would have been tight end 8 last year. That was Dallas Goddard. This guy's going undrafted, probably because of the ACL. The case for him is, again, he is going undrafted. If you have, maybe you waited on a tight end. Maybe you get Noah Fant at the end of the draft just to fill your tight end slot, and let's say you're streaming for 7 weeks. Logan Thomas, like you said, you slide him into the IR and wait for him to get a full year off of the ACL.
Right.
If he comes in averaging 11 points per game down the stretch for you, that's top 10 tight end.
The thing, though, sometimes with those tight end, specifically the tight end scores, I think, is that they tend to have 2 or 3 games that are big, and the rest are like 4 or 5 points per week. So sometimes when you say 11 per week, that kind of sounds like he's getting 11 points every week.
So glad you brought that up.
I'm not against that idea.
I'm glad you brought that up specifically because last year he had 12, 9.5, 12, 13.8, and 6. So he only had 1 game where he really wasn't around his average. So really, in 2020, when he played the full year, he was basically nothing in the first half. Very inconsistent. 13 and then single digits until week 6, 13, 16. The way he finished that year, though, which is something that could happen this year, is what I'm saying. This is a second half of the year play. By no stretch of the imagination, I'm saying he should be your starter. Just somebody to look at. He ended 2020 with 13, 24.8, 10, 23, 13, and 13. Like, for you to finish your year like that, I mean...
Would you rather take that same stance with Robert Tonyan? I mean, I guess he can start the year, but he's kind of coming off an injury.
I could see the same kind of thing. I mean, I when we first did our rankings, I had Tonyan at like 11, and I just dropped him because I haven't heard anything about him in a positive light, and I've heard other guys have definitely climbed up my board. Shout out Alberto. By the way, it's Albert Okwebunam, and I've learned it, and I love it. Okwebunam. No, Okwebunam.
Okwebunam.
Okwe. If you really want to get it, it's like Okwebunam, but it's Okwebunam.
Okwebunam.
There you go. Albert Okwebunam.
Aquabunam.
He has nothing to do with Logan Thomas, but this is the official podcast of the Albert Okwebunam fan club. And we also have chosen our team of the year for our podcast. We always support one. Last year it was Carolina. This year, Alan, do you want to, if you're still listening to the podcast at this point, would you like to reveal the podcast team of the year for the AA Fantasy Football Podcast?
You're going to be mad at me because I'm not sure if I have the right answer.
You know who it is. I trust you. Look into my eyes. Look, and tell the people.
The Detroit Lions.
That's right. We are
Let's
Detroit.
Okay.
Detroit country.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's roar.
We can't ruin it. It's got to be Lions country. Let's ride.
Love it. That's all we got for you guys, though.
Yes, sir.
Hit us up if you need anything. We love being here. We'll see you guys, or you'll see us, I should say, and hear us tomorrow morning, Wednesday, and then Friday as well. We got another one coming this week.
That's right. What's next? NFC North. NFC North. We will be doing
Not sure.
It is the NFC North for sure.
Okay.
We will be doing the North for Friday. So that's the Packers, Vikings, Lions, and Bears.
Oh my.
Oh my. So, Alan, take us away.
the Double A Fantasy Football.